Hello, hello! I am the official name raider. My job is to look through the first page of Google, review the nicknames provided by the internet, and then give my recommendations at the end. We're finally up to current gen. Today, we're looking at Sprigatito, Floragato, and Meowscarada, which I want to say, Sprigatito, 10 out of 10 official name. Absolutely love that. I think that's a great choice. I love that they chose to put Spanish influence on the names for the starters. Most of them, at least. Marty Grass is at least a joke. I like that one. I can fuck with that one. It also works with the culture. Sort of. Does Mardi Gras originate from Spain? Let's learn. So actually, I don't necessarily feel bad about not knowing this because it seems like it's a fucking mutt, which, yes, it is if you look at the Wikipedia, but the origin itself just says Europe, and that's it, which, yes, it's referred to as a Christian holiday, but it's like, okay, but the name is French, but it just says Europe, and historically, Italy was a pretty heavy Christian point back in those times, so it would kind of make sense for that, and then other Romance languages kind of blend together, so I don't know, but regardless, Marty Grass is a good name, and I like that. It's much better than Weed Kitty. Gotta be honest, I'm actually kind of surprised Zatana never came to mind. I like the idea of that one, that's fine, and then people are pointing out the whole gender thing, which Zatana itself, outside of ending with an A, is not specifically a gender-based name. Like, I remember when the idea of Meowscarada and Magicians came up, I was just like, oh, what's one? And the first thing I thought of was the guy from No More Heroes, but his name is, like, insanely long, so fuck that shit. But I kind of feel bad that I never thought of Zatana. I also wish we could get, like, a proper Zatana movie or Zatana series so I can just see what the fuck kind of crazy shit Zatana can do. Because I really feel like with special effects these days, it would be insanely cool. So, get the fuck on that, DC, you lazy cunts. So actually, Catnip was something I thought of myself. And I realized just now that maybe I could have, like, watched the ending of, like, the Persian episode or something like that, because there's some generic cat names that I couldn't fucking remember. Anyway, that was kind of where it was leaning, was I was trying to think about that, and I was like, okay, well, what's something cat-related? Because, you know, we've got Meow mixed to Purugly, and I was like, well, what could kind of work with that? And Catnip was what I thought. The internet was also aggressively annoying and decided to ruin another fucking cat starter by making dumb bitch memes saying, weed kitty. Sorry, weed jokes are never fucking funny. It's like Justin Bieber jokes, bro. They're just like, it's great if you're like 4 years old, and even 4-year-olds aren't going to find that funny, but you know, mentally you're at that point. But Catnip kind of leaned into that weed kitty joke without being an obnoxious cunt. So that was my idea. And yeah, I was Salem Saberhagen though. I feel like if you're gonna choose that, maybe Saberhagen by itself would probably work better, because Salem's gonna include Black Cat witches for sure. That's definitely gonna be on there, Salem, Oregon. But I feel like if you want Sabrina the Teenage Witch in particular, maybe Saberhagen. Also on the subject, because my parents have 2 black cats, and they've named them Salem and Matilda. So if you want the counter to Salem, Matilda is another magic one for you. I'm not going to try and pronounce this like Meowscarada, I guess is probably as close as you get. But that's at least a much better pun than just Weed Kitty. Like, you're also taking that stupid, annoying joke that makes me want to punch you in the face and making it mildly better. You know, instead of like a 0.1 out of 10, it's a 0.2 out of 10. I feel like I've seen Zoro before? I don't know, I might have seen this somewhere. I'm either confusing it with a different Pokemon, or in a different episode of Name Radar I was recording for some other Pokemon, and then I just happened to see Zoro the Meowscarada. I don't know. But I'm just acknowledging that because Zoro feels familiar. I just can't quite place what. My mind says something from Arceus, maybe, but I don't know. I also feel like I've seen Hermione before, too, more on the magic motif. I must have, like, seen these when, like, I don't know, it has to be something where it was, like, some recent nickname post and people were including Paldean and stuff, too. That's weird. I don't know. I've never looked this shit up before. Meowdy Gras is a different instead of Marty Grass, I guess. As it is now current gen, that also means the results are going to be limited, meaning we're going to have the misfortune of looking at Ranker a little bit more often. Why is there an I here? What is this? Why is Ivy rank number 2? Okay, that's fantastic. Does it do that for all of them? No? Just these two. Okay. Anyway, Ivy for Poison Ivy, but I don't know. To me, I'm like, that's like a solid 3 out of 10. Like, I put that on my Leafeon because I'm like, I don't have anything else better. It sucks and I want to change it. But I will plead guilty. Sage for seasoning. Evergreen for tree. Like, we've talked about those before. Primrose, I don't think we've ever seen, but I feel like that's kind of on the same motif. Basil, we've seen before. Abra, Catabra? Shouldn't it be Abracadabra? I'm always gonna shit on Gardenia for being a terrible name. I did have somebody point out, what fucking episode was it? I don't know. It was some episode. I got a comment that was like, Gardenia's a real name, and it's... I didn't realize it was actually the name of like a flower. Whoever named that flower or plant or whatever the hell it was, I don't remember. They're a dumb bitch. I stand by my idea. Gardenia's a shit name. Fortunately, I've never met anyone with the misfortune of being that, but knowing that it's a real plant, that's even more hilarious. Kale, lettuce, cabbage. Okay. I feel like Garfield has an unintentional pun in there because Garfield, like a field of grass. I don't know why the fuck Meowsalot is on here and like Perrsalot is on here as many times as it is, but it is. I'm also probably going to have to hate myself for editing that. Maybe I won't do it. I don't know. Iceberg. I just wanted to see the ratio. Zora. Female. Do you know what a Zora is? Allow me to do a quick Google search. That's a Zora, you dumb bitch! What the hell is wrong with you? You think just because you change an O to an A, it's gonna magically mean the same fucking thing? You are stupid as hell! Whiskas. There you go. I like that one. That one was... that's on that same Meowmix level. And Whiskas is not something I ever heard of until one of my friends told me about it. And she said, yeah, it makes cats fart stink. And then I talked to another female who also said the exact same thing. So that could be Whiskas' slogan if they want to. If you don't value your nose... Meow Khalifa? Persephone? What, isn't Mia Khalifa... She's that porn star, right? Yes, she is. Okay, from what I've heard, Mia Khalifa is a total bitch, actually. Anyway, only other one on here that I kind of want to highlight is Selena Kyle, because that's Catwoman. Just a different way, I guess. If you're going to do it, name it both Selena Kyle. Don't just do Selena. Or Catwoman, I suppose, is fine, too. It's not really that great, but eh. Snoop Cat is another alternative to Weed Kitty that is both obnoxious but better than Weed Kitty. I will give it a 0.25 out of 10. Okay, that one took me a second to process because you can't read it as Gatorade. You have to read it as Gatorade or Gatorade. Gatorade is probably it. But it's just kind of hilarious that it's Gatorade, essentially. I'm going to go ahead and just hazard a guess that this is probably all bullshit. And I'm basing this off of deceased and deceased. Because knowing Pokemon, I don't think they did that. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to call this it. Because this wasn't really anything. He's just like, spices. You know, that thing we talked about 30 minutes ago. That's a Sprigatito. Smogon never actually has anything. Like, it says the word nicknames, but it never actually provides anything. So I've just kind of learned to ignore Smogon. This was fake, and then everything else we kind of already looked over. That's that. So, since we're in Paldea, things like Pokemon.net and the spreadsheet are no longer applicable. So... just kind of the end of the episode, other than these comment suggestions we have real quick. The one I like out of this is that, I don't remember the others, but I remember that he did a theme with the starters and the songs from Ocarina of Time, Minuet, Bolero, and I don't remember what Quaxley was. My assumption is Serenade. I could be wrong. But yeah, I like that theme. I think that's a pretty good one. The rest of these I don't particularly care about. I'm assuming this one is probably Persona. I did also see Morgana, parentheses Persona 5, written down a few times, and I was just like, isn't Morgana, like, in a whole bunch of other things? Like, is that not a name in other things? So, to me, that one kind of doesn't stand out. I don't know what a Joku Karusu is, but my assumption's Persona. Isn't Peresto a cat food? Hold on a sec. It says, no. I'm really curious about this, though. I can't believe Pokemon just stole this concept from fucking Buddymon. What the shit? Anyway, I don't know. Puresto, I kind of like. It sounds like a cat food. It's kind of weird that it's not. Before I go into that outro bit, let me go ahead and just go over the highlights, which personally I thought Marty Grass, Meowscarada, those were good. Zatana, or any other magician, magical kind of things you could stumble across. Honestly, kind of surprised we didn't see any Houdini. I saw Meowdini, which to me is like forcing a joke that doesn't exist into trying to make it exist. Like, if it was a magical dog, you could say, like, Howldini, and that would make sense. But Meowdini is literally nothing. Catnip was one we saw before. I mean, I didn't expect to see it, but hey, it's cool to know that there was a couple other people that had the same mindset to me. The one that I officially decided, because yes, Sprigatito was my starter. I also like the idea of Fuecoco. That one was interesting to me too, but I named mine Pitchy, after the Brazilian rock band. Now, at face value, the letters is just kitty, but with a P. But in Brazilian Portuguese, you don't pronounce it as pity. It's with an accent. The reason is because she has an album called Sete Vidas, and you know how they say, like, cats have 9 lives? Well, in Brazil they have 7, probably because they don't take good enough care of their pets, so they have 2 less lives in Brazil. But Sete Vidas was my favorite album by her, and I actually think it's kind of funny how sometimes when a band will change their logo, it's like symbolic of a new style, and I like Pitchy's newer works over her older works, and I feel like that also applies to Seether for me. So yeah, in reference to that album, that was why I chose that. It was just kind of there. I also could have just named it Sete Vidas, and that would have been fine. Pitchy was just kind of what came to mind. I was like, let's do that, that's fine. It's not going to be for anybody else but me, but that was what I wanted to do. Now then, time with outro. Any other suggestions and comments, suggestions and ideas you have, feel free to put in the comments below. Let us know what you'd use, what you'd recommend, and if you want other episodes that might help give you ideas, consider other cat Pokemon such as Persian, Purugly, Delcatty, because I forgot about Delcatty up until I saw someone put Skitty 2.0. That's at least 3 different cats I can think of, and I can guarantee you things like probably 9 lives, also cat food. Meow Mix was in there. That's all I can think of, but I can guarantee you other cat sort of themes in there you're going to find that, and that might help you out if you want more cat themes. If you have a cat, pet it for me.